Welcome back to part two of my conversation with Jennifer Golding, a transitioning teacher, now newly minted project manager. In this episode, Jennifer shares additional tips such as updating your resume and leveraging LinkedIn connections, articles, and posts from people you follow. Take a listen. So are there kind of like, and I cut you off, are there, and you might have been going down this track, are there some other first steps? So to me, from hearing this, it's definitely consider information interviews with folks. Just reaching out to people. The worst they can say is no. Is there anything else that you'd want to add as people are transitioning out of a particular career field or even an industry that helps you get to where you are today?
So I have two things that I relied on and that from other people I've actually passed on when people have said, "Oh, you got a job. How did you do it?" The first thing is your resume. Make sure you put those numbers in your resume and you include the vocabulary of the industry you want to move into.
Love it.
I have always stuck with students because as soon as they interview me, they know they're not clients. So I'm okay with not changing that. I know that a lot of other people say change it to clients and things such as that. But if you can quantify what you did in your position and include that vocabulary, it's very important because I know people want to really get past that tracking system. But when
Hmm.
you get past that tracking system, your resume has to start to speak for itself for the people who actually then go through and hand weed it out. And then one more thing for the resume is to, if you have done volunteer work and it's current and it provides you experience or numbers that you can use in your next profession, use it. So my resume, when I was applying for jobs, had my current tutoring that I was doing, but it included my current volunteer, which is PTA, because I had three different positions in PTA, but they all gave me different experiences. One gave me like fundraising, one gave me membership, and so it tells your potential employers two things: that you're willing to try something new,
Hmm.
and you're willing to learn how to take what you've learned in that new position and help you grow. And
That's
then
great.
yes, and I would never my previous resumes never looked like that. They were the cute teacher resumes, with the colors on them, so
The
they would stand
crayons.
out. Yeah. Oh, no, never the crayon, never the crayon. But, they were color coordinated, right? They were. And then the other thing is, I know it's a 50-50 for a lot of people, but that cover letter. But turn that cover letter into a story, especially if you're going from teaching into anything else, because there will never be any titles. Well, I shouldn't say any, but very rarely will there be a title in another industry that has the same title of teacher. But if you can show how you were able to do this role, and it's the same, almost the same exact thing as a project manager or customer success manager, and tie a story to it, it helps people envision who you are and what you're bringing to them. And those cover letters, every single job that I had a response for, not an automatic response, somebody responded back, wanted to do at least a phone screen, was from a cover letter where I had a story in it.
Mm. That's
Hmm.
huge. And I'm of the camp of do the cover letter. And because it's worked for me in the past where someone said, for us, you took the time to tell your story versus just send a blanket resume. So I am a huge believer in doing the cover letter, doing it well, doing it right. But it just shows that you're going the extra step. You're, in the sea of, 200 applicants, you're actually taking the time to share your story. And I think that's what people want, to get to know you and see if whether or not, we like using this term, whether or not you're the right fit within the
Hmm.
organization. But I get to see a little bit more, get some insight of who you are. So I appreciate you sharing that. That's good. I hope people are listening. So I have a question as it relates to, because you've answered that question about the resume. Anything that you would say about updating your LinkedIn profile to make you more marketable? Because that's the, back in the day, right? They just get your
Hmm.
resume, you walk in and you're surprised. Now they get to, scoop you out and, find you on LinkedIn. Is there anything that you found was helpful or that you think that you should have done or did do that was very helpful in making yourself more marketable on LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn was actually really hard for me because I can talk in front of people, but networking is very hard. I tend to get very shy and want to make sure I can trust you first. So it was very hard in setting up the profile. I kind of was a little lost because it was a little stuffy.
Hmm.
So when someone offered to help out anyone who was interested to look over their LinkedIn profile for suggestions, and they would say, and I will be brutally honest, I said, that's me. Tell me what is not working, what is working, what I should add, what I should take away. Um, and that made the biggest difference for my LinkedIn profile because it went from being stuffy, no personality to here's, stuff you're going to find in your resume, but also here's a little bit about me. But it's not this long, 300-page novel. It is down and organized. And so you kind of get a sense of a little bit of my personal, but you really get a sense of who I am as a professional. And
Hmm.
so the biggest thing for your LinkedIn profile is if someone um, offers to help, accept it, but tell them you want them to be brutally honest. But also know you don't have to accept everything that they say
Right.
because if it's not you, it's not going to be authentic. And when you get to the interview process, it's gonna stand out right away that that's not who they thought they saw on LinkedIn. So
Hmm.
you got to beef it up, but also keep it who you are.
Hmm. No, that's really great advice. So tell me, how did you find this person? This is just through your connections, and you saw someone said, "Hey, I'll review 10 LinkedIn profiles and give you my advice." How did that come about?
Okay, so it's not even as fancy as that. You know that search bar in the LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
I looked for job seeker posts. I just put
Uh-huh.
a job seeker post, and I found a post where it said, "Here's Tuesday connections," because that there's quite a lot of Tuesday job connection posts. And I
Okay.
found one that resonated with me. So they say put what type of position you're looking for, the industry, full time, part time, remote. I put that in, and a gentleman out of New Jersey who helps job seekers over a certain age, which I fall into, offered his services for free. And so I checked out his LinkedIn profile. I looked at some of the things that he had done, and I should know all these names by heart. Some I've forgotten them. It's like, oh my goodness, why can't I remember their names, right? And so that's who I started with, and I kind of needed that really brash. Okay, here's what it is. Here's what you need. Yeah. hmm
That's
So don't
great.
be afraid to use that search bar because then as we met some more together as a little group, he's like, well, here's a different way you can search for things. Here's how you can look for this. Here's things you want to avoid on LinkedIn because they might be a scam.
Hmm.
Um, if you're going to pay somebody for services, make sure it's something that you really want as a service and not what they're telling you what you need as a
Mm.
service. Because there are a lot of things that are easy if someone helps you do them, and I would be willing to pay for it. But if it's something that I didn't need a $3,000 class, so that person would not have been a good fit for me. But helping me with, a resume or a cover letter and, fit within my budget, I would certainly pay for that.
That's great. Okay. Did you get all that? Quantify what you did on your resume. Show the impact that you made. And use the language of project management or whatever field you want to get into on your resume. And as for the cover letter, turn that cover letter into a story. Keep listening for the next episode where Jennifer talks about her journey on project management training and certification.